Carl Jung I resonated with because it was one of the first times I was reading literature or like psychology where it was like, this guy's presenting two variables. Like he's saying like, hey, if you look at this, history repeats over time, or you sort of have all these archetypes of menos, which, and his sort of philosophy sort of set the foundation for the what's the test? The personality test.
Yeah.
Right? But I would see how someone just said, hey, I have all this evidence. I sort of did these, and he would use math too, which I'm like, yo, this is dope. He's like, oh, I have all this evidence. Like, for example, he did a test. He said, like, I took 300 couples. I used their horoscopes and tried to see if it would be compatible based on a random location. And then he used like calculations. And I'm reading the book. I'm like, I don't understand this. But it was the fact that at the end of it, he goes, hey, look at all this evidence. I can't say it's true, but you decide, right? Like, Look at all this evidence. He has something on like fairy tales, right? Like how fairy tales sort of relate to, or more so archetypes, right? He would talk through these archetypes and I would see like, yo, how did this guy have my archetype? Which was like someone who's really intuitive, but is sort of scared to experience. Like basically he's like, well, those kinds of people you should experience. You should try to like push yourself more to experience more. And I read that and I was like, man, this dude is like in the 40s. It's like writing through the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. And I was like, man, this is so profound. And that's when I started to learn about myself. And when I started to really learn about myself, then when it was creating, post-creation, not pre-creation.
And this is Carl Jung.
Yeah.
Reading about the archetypes and personality traits and things like that.
It was like a way for me to really understand how to look inside myself, right? And a lot of the sayings, he says a lot of that. Like, if you don't know yourself, he was, the way he wrote, I could really understand it in the voice. And when I started, I think this was like the part of the journey, but then I was able to put words to things I was seeing and the way that I would see things versus the visuals. And then when I would look at some of the paintings, I would be like, why would I use this color versus this color? Because even color schemes, I don't always pre-select what color I want to use, and for certain ones that maybe, but and I was like, oh, these these sort of got me into like Buddhist like philosophies. Then it got me into sort of like chakras and these kinds of things, right? But not in the bubbly way like a girl who's like a hipster. It would be like, I'm more on the like mathematical or like very like scientifical front. So I really appreciated that he took the spiritual realm or these things that we can't see and grasp and sort of tried to articulate it in a very mathematical, scientifical way, right?
Carl, I know who Carl Jung is, but I'm not familiar with a lot of his work. So he's someone that, like you said, took spiritual experiences or feelings that people had and then would try to explain them through psychology. Or
he would like the experiment that I said. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Like the horoscope thing, like, okay, horoscope, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
This dude did an experiment where he's taking couples in a select area, and then he's sort of using probability and calculative equations. A very hard book to understand. It would be like 80 pages, and I'm like, I have to sit down and reread each page.
So he's matchmaking through psychology and archetypes, basically. So a lot of times I feel like the horoscopes they're too broad. A lot of times I'll see people post online of, I'm a Pisces and my horoscope says that today I'm going to see someone who makes me feel happy.
Yeah.
And then it happens and they post about it and they're like, see, I told you, I met this person and he made me feel really happy. And therefore that furthers my beliefs in horoscope. Or it's like, today I'm going to wake up. And I'm just like, well, how do you know anything based on the horoscope if it's so general? But he's giving archetypes that are specific enough, Carl Jung is, that you know it's not like it didn't seem shady to you. It's archetypes that actually were encompassing specific types of people. It wasn't so broad where anyone could experience it, because sometimes I feel like that's why I see astrology as a hoax, because it's too broad to where anyone can fit into any description. But Carl Jung was using things that
calculating
calculate
experiments,
the specific,
and then it would be like, not that it's 100% fact proof, but it was like, this is the first time I'm seeing two ideas when I sit back and I think like, maybe it's this, based on my instinct, that he's trying to explain it and trying to use history or he took this, he had this book, right? And it was about the book of Job, which is a book in the Bible. And I'm not really someone that's super religious, but he writes about how this story in the Bible is about faith. And he starts going on more analogies about society, right? He starts saying things like, society's not going to do nothing for you. It's this, and he says even things like, Western, you got because he's around the time like World War II, World War I. So he's like, you got the Western side, and they try to make you believe that the Iron Curtain, communism on the other side is something completely different, when it's actually the same exact thing, right? And it's like, me, especially working in government, I was like, I get it. It makes sense. This guy's putting words to ideas that you feel like are true, like are somewhat Illuminati, but he's using calculations in history. He's actually someone who's looking back in history from ancient times, using multiple examples, right? He would study people who have dreams, and it would be these symbols, right? And that goes back to almost like human code, right? He would say something like, this guy had a dream about this, and da-da-da-da-da. And he was this age, and he was going through this in life. And I would just write his dreams down over time. When you start, when you have a sample and you start getting it over time, you can see a picture, right? And he would sort of like, this symbol meant this, because then I saw it in another patient that I had, the same exact sort of imagery. So it was just like things I really resonated with, that like you're searching on the side of the unknown, because psychology is the newest science of all the sciences, right? So it's like you're sort of searching on the unknown, and the things that people, even in modern day now, like horoscopes, that people sort of see as like, all right, either I really believe in it and don't know, or I think it's bullshit. It's like he's sort of trying to provide, he tried to, or attempted to, like, hey, I can't explain it. It's not like it's fact, but I'm trying to dig deep and put a picture around it.
So he's using these real world patterns and collecting data
exactly
to give people some sort of outlook on things we may perceive as spiritual or supernatural. He's trying to collect data on that, whether or not it may be 100% true. He's at least attempting to do some sort of experiment on it, where you can look at it and gain something from it.
And my favorite part is he would always have these facts, but aside from people who are like Nietzsche or Freud, who like definitively say after they do their experiments, like, this is this.
Yeah.
Carl Jung would sort of be like, well, I can't say it's the truth, but
take it for yourself.
Yeah, take it for yourself.
Hey guys, this is a quick reminder to check out AUXORO Premium, the best deal in premium podcasting. On AUXORO Premium, you gain access to bonus episodes, the unlicensed therapy series, the ability to submit topic suggestions for the podcast, exclusive Ask Me Anything episodes, and the entire premium catalog for only $5 per month. Go to auxoro.supercast.com, that's AUXORO.supercast.com, to join the premium gang today.